This person followed you into the supermarket for a reason. What they were holding will shock you. Archangel Michael says, you were never supposed to cross paths with this person today, but divine orchestration allowed it. The wind shifted just moments before you entered the supermarket, pulling the clouds above into an odd spiral. Something in your spirit paused, but you shrugged it off, thinking it was just a breeze. The sliding doors parted slowly as you stepped into the cold, bright space of the store. You didn't notice it then, but someone had already seen you from the parking lot. Their eyes were locked on you before your feet even touched the polished tiles. You moved to the vegetable section like usual. Unaware that footsteps behind you had paused when you did, they waited patiently, pretending to inspect a shelf of canned goods, but they were tracking every step you took. What they were holding in their right coat pocket was not ordinary. It was wrapped tightly, carefully concealed, but not from everyone, only from you, because heaven had already sent warnings through dreams you half remembered, but dismissed. Type Amen to get blessing 333. A scent of lavender followed you faintly, though you hadn't sprayed perfume today. Someone near you was wearing it, but it wasn't just a fragrance, it was a signal. That person had chosen lavender for a reason connected to your past. The basket in your hand began to feel heavy. Not from weight but from a strange pressure in the air. You were drawn to aisle 7, even though you didn't need anything from there. That aisle had history. It's where you once met someone who left a lasting scar. As you turned the corner of the aisle, that's when you saw them fully. Their back was facing you, but something about their posture made your chest tighten. Then they turned around and their eyes met yours, and time slowed down. They smiled, but not kindly. It was a cold, knowing smirk. And in that moment, you recognized the object in their hand wasn't a product for purchase, it was something personal. Type Amen to get blessing 444, if you wish to express your support further. You have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. You tried to look away, but your spirit froze. The item they held was wrapped in red cloth with gold stitching, something your grandmother used to wrap sacred things in. How did they get that? Your heart started pounding. You hadn't seen that exact design since your childhood. That's when memories of a missing heirloom rushed in, a small box that disappeared during a family gathering years ago. This person wasn't here to shop. They were here to confront you with the past. And their expression told you they had waited a long time to do this. You backed away slowly, pretending to browse. But the stranger stepped forward. Still holding the item, hidden to everyone else but plainly visible to you. Then, just loud enough for only you to hear, they said your full name. Type Amen to get blessing 555. Goosebumps ran across your arms. You hadn't heard your full name spoken like that in years. They weren't just a stranger, they knew you. And they weren't here by accident. The cloth-wrapped item was removed slightly to show you what was beneath. It was a torn photo, your photo. Torn not cleanly, but with aggression. One half of your face was missing. Your fingers trembled as you placed a box of cereal back on the shelf. You tried to make sense of the connection. The way their eyes burned with a mixture of sadness and vengeance made you realize. They blamed you for something. They started to speak, low and sharp. You thought I wouldn't find you, they said. But this belonged to both of us, and you let them take it. Type Amen to get blessing 636. You wanted to speak, to ask them what they meant, but your throat was dry. A sudden chill wrapped around your spine like a thread of cold smoke. Archangel Michael says, "You're not imagining this. It is not paranoia, it's protection alerting you." You stepped aside, moving past them with a nod as if you didn't know what they were saying, but they followed, their footsteps silent, their presence overwhelming. They weren't holding a weapon, but something more dangerous, the truth. They reached into their coat and pulled out a piece of cloth stained with something that made your stomach churn. You recognized it instantly. It wasn't just a symbol, it was a remnant of a tragedy buried deep in your family history. "Does this make you remember?" they whispered near your shoulder. You stepped faster now, heading toward the front of the store, but they stayed close behind. Type Amen to get blessing 747. Outside the cashier lanes, everything seemed normal, but not for you. Inside your chest, old wounds were opening. You grabbed your phone, pretending to check something, trying to call someone, but there was no signal. Not a single bar. It was as if this moment was sealed in a bubble, out of reach from the outside world. They leaned in again and said something you'll never forget, "You're walking with blessings you didn't earn, and I'm here to take them back." Archangel Michael says, the moment you walked into that store, two realms collided. What you thought was a routine errand became a divine confrontation, because not all blessings come without challenge, and not all confrontations are punishments, they're revelations. Type Amen to get blessing 888. You turned swiftly and faced them. Their expression changed slightly, surprised by your courage. But you spoke before fear could silence you. "What do you really want?" They held the cloth out to you now, offering it with both hands. Inside was something glowing faintly, something that pulsed like it was alive. It wasn't of this world. "This is what you forgot," they said. "This is what you buried in your dreams and hoped would disappear." Your knees almost buckled when you saw it clearly. It was a pendant. A crystal orb, pulsing with energy, the same one your mother told you to guard before she passed. Type Amen to get blessing 999. You remember the story now. The pendant was meant to protect the family from unseen harm, but it was stolen years ago, during the fire that destroyed the old house. Everyone believed it had been lost. This stranger, who was once a childhood friend, had carried it all these years, waiting for the moment to return it, or reclaim what they believed was theirs. But something inside them had changed. They were consumed by pain, betrayal, and something darker. Their eyes shimmered not just with tears, but with something cursed. Archangel Michael says, when blessings are misplaced, they can fall into wrong hands. And when they return, they come carrying stories soaked in smoke and grief. Type Amen to get blessing 1001. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20. The manager's voice echoed from the speaker overhead, calling for someone to restock aisle 3. But you weren't listening anymore. The pendant was now between both your palms, glowing with heat, memories, and spiritual weight. They backed away slowly, as if giving you space to remember fully. It's yours again, they said. But nothing comes free anymore. With those final words, they vanished into the automatic doors, swallowed by the outside world as if they were never there. You stood frozen, holding not just the pendant, but a burden passed through generations. A woman at the checkout looked at you confused. "Miss, are you all right?" But you couldn't answer. You just nodded and walked out, gripping the item that changed everything. Type Amen to get blessing 1222. Outside, the clouds had shifted again. The same spiral from earlier had reversed, spinning inward. You took it as a sign. The storm had passed, but not without reshaping your understanding. Every step you took back to your car felt heavier. You opened your bag and placed the pendant deep inside. A faint whisper brushed against your ear as you closed the door. "Protected better this time." Archangel Michael says, this was a spiritual ambush, but also a divine reset. What was stolen has been returned. But your responsibility has only begun. Type Amen to get blessing 1444. Now you understand why you were pulled to that store. Why your feet guided you without logic. It wasn't hunger, it was a call to retrieve what was yours. That stranger wasn't your enemy, but a messenger. A wounded one. One who carried your pain long enough and could carry it no longer. They passed it back to you not out of kindness, but because it was never meant to be theirs. What you carry now will either heal your lineage or destroy what's left. The next time you dream, you'll see the fire again, but this time, you'll walk through it without fear. Type Amen to get blessing 177. You didn't turn the engine on immediately. You sat in silence, hearing only your breath and the distant rumble of carts being returned to the bay. In your lap was not just an item, but a memory that had been buried by force, not forgetfulness. The pendant glowed faintly even inside your purse. It reacted to your presence, to your heartbeat, to the air that surrounded your skin. The last time it glowed was the night everything collapsed in your family. Your fingers trembled slightly as you touched the edge of it through the bag. A sharp flash cut across your mind, a flashback. The room with the fire, the screaming, the betrayal. You had been chosen to protect it, but you didn't know back then. Type Amen to get blessing 1911. The stranger who had followed you, now you remembered their name. It wasn't just a visitor from the past, it was someone you shared a bond with. But time and pain had twisted that bond into something darker. They once swore to stand beside you and never leave. But after the fire, something broke between you two, and they vanished like smoke in the night. You never expected to see them again, much less in a supermarket aisle, holding your legacy. Archangel Michael says, this is the hour where long-forgotten ties are resurfacing. The clock of karmic return is turning fast. And what was delayed is now being pushed to the surface. You put the car in drive but didn't leave immediately. You dialed a number you hadn't touched in years, your aunt, the one who used to whisper the stories of the pendant into your ears at bedtime. Type Amen to get blessing 2020. She picked up, voice cautious. You remembered, didn't you? That was the first thing she said. No hello. No greeting. You told her what happened, the aisle. The wrapped item. The cloth. The pendant. The photo torn in half. Her silence on the other end of the line sent chills through your back. I warned you, she finally whispered. The bloodline never forgets. And neither do the spirits guarding that orb. You swallowed hard, not knowing how to respond. The line crackled like static, as if something was interfering. Then the voice of your aunt returned, sharper, more urgent. You must bring it back where it was first blessed, before it falls into the wrong hands again. Type Amen to get blessing 2121. You didn't question it. You just obeyed the call of destiny. Within an hour, you were back at the house you hadn't visited in over a decade. It looked abandoned, but the moment you stepped onto the porch, the wind changed. A sudden burst of air circled around you, as if the house was recognizing your return. The wood beneath your feet groaned, welcoming your steps like a long-lost echo. You placed your hand on the doorframe, remembering the carvings your grandfather once etched into it, symbols of protection. Some had faded. Others still pulsed faintly. You reached for the key hidden behind the loose brick, the same one you used when you were a child sneaking in for hidden candy. But today, you weren't sneaking. You were being summoned. Type Amen to get blessing 2323. Inside, the dust danced in light beams. The silence was thick. The memories were louder than sound. You moved to the fireplace first, where your mother once sat and read the old scriptures from memory. There was a loose tile behind it. You knelt down, moved it, and there it was, the hollow space where the pendant was first placed before the fire took it all. You held it over the space, and instantly the energy in the room shifted. A low hum filled the air. A wind blew through the house even though all the windows were shut. Archangel Michael says, this is a moment of realignment. You are restoring the altar of your ancestors, and through your hands, a generational cycle is being broken. You placed the pendant gently inside, whispering a blessing your mother taught you. The moment it touched the hidden stone, the house exhaled, a gust of air surged through, and all the candles that were once dead, flickered back to life. Type Amen to get blessing 2444. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks, with contributions of up to $20, you cried. Tears fell not from sorrow, but from recognition. From truth finally returning to its rightful place, and then, you heard the door open behind you. You turned fast. And there stood the stranger again. This time, without threat. No smirk. No anger, just pain. Raw, open, and trembling. I didn't want to do this the hard way, they said, but you forgot me. You forgot us. You stood slowly, keeping the fireplace behind you. I never forgot. I just didn't know where to look. They stepped forward slowly, their fingers bleeding from something they had held too tightly for too long. And you saw it, the twin mark on their palm. The same symbol that appeared on your own when the pendant activated. Type Amen to get blessing 2555. I wasn't the enemy, they whispered. I was the other half of the guardian bond. You understood now. The pendant was never meant to be carried by one person. It required two. And for all these years, both of you had wandered in pain, missing pieces of yourselves. Archangel Michael says, not all enemies are enemies. Sometimes, they are the reflections of the battles you try to forget. And when truth returns, it doesn't knock, it arrives with a storm. You walked toward them, took their hand, and placed it over the stone beside the pendant. Instantly, the room pulsed with heat and light. The bond was restored, the mark on your hand shimmered, then faded. The energy now belonged not just to you, but to the both of you once again. Type Amen to get blessing 2666. The house calmed. The dust stopped spinning. Even the wind outside settled. You turned to them and said, "We're not strangers anymore." They nodded. No words needed. Just presence. Outside, the clouds cleared and a single ray of light pierced through the window, striking the fireplace directly. The pendant shimmered once more. Then sealed itself in the stone, where no hands could steal it again. You knew then, your life had changed. From this moment forward, nothing would ever feel ordinary again. The world had seen you, the spirits had trusted you. The bond had been repaired. Archangel Michael says, "This is your divine inheritance, guard it with faith. Walk with fire in your bones and light in your spirit." Type Amen to get blessing 300. You didn't move for several minutes after that. The stillness inside the house felt like being wrapped in a protective cocoon. Everything you thought you had lost was never gone, it had just been waiting for you to remember. The energy that once caused fear now brought clarity. The flickering lights no longer threatened to go out, they stayed steady, as if witnessing your rebirth. You stood in the middle of the living room with your feet firm on ancestral ground. Beside you, the one stranger, now recognized guardian, lowered their eyes in silent reverence. Whatever darkness had hovered over them seemed to dissolve into light. Not all apologies require words, some are simply understood through healed presence. Type Amen to get blessing 3131. You walked through the house together, not speaking much, just listening. The floors creaked differently now, not with sadness, but with memory. In every corner, you felt invisible hands clapping slowly, approving your return. You reached the old cabinet in the hallway and opened it. Inside were yellowed envelopes your mother once told you never to touch until the timing aligned. You understood now, this was the timing. You took the top letter. It was addressed to both of you, the handwriting trembled slightly but remained steady. To the two who carry the flame, it said. The letter inside was thick, filled with sacred instructions and secrets meant only for you and your counterpart. It spoke of other items scattered, lost over time, waiting for restoration. This pendant was just the beginning. Type Amen to get blessing 3333. Archangel Michael says, you have now stepped into your divine assignment. Not just to protect, but to recover. To retrieve what darkness tried to bury beneath fear, shame, and distraction. The stranger, your counterpart, touched the page with shaking fingers. I thought I was alone all these years, they whispered. You looked at them and replied, you weren't, you just wandered until your spirit found its signal again. Together, you left the house, but not the legacy. The fire in the hearth kept glowing even as you locked the door, a symbol that the bond was lit, and would never dim again. Outside, the skies were bluer than ever. The wind that once howled was now warm and gentle, it kissed your skin like a blessing. You looked at your reflection in the car window. And you didn't see the same person anymore. Type Amen to get blessing 3535, the pendant, though sealed, now pulsed in rhythm with your heart. It was a silent drumbeat, guiding, guarding, grounding. You got into the car, your counterpart got in beside you. You didn't need a destination. The road would call itself to you now. As the wheels turned and the past stayed behind, you felt something unlock inside your chest. It wasn't just freedom. It was purpose, direction, connection. You remembered a message your mother once told you in passing: the one who shares your shadow will always be the key to your light, and now that shadow had stepped into the light with you. Archangel Michael says, "It's done. The truth has surfaced, and now your journey truly begins." Type Amen to get blessing 363 that if you wish to express your support further.